All right, people, your boy, Mad Mike, here with another NFL trade update. If you, no, I don't know. Let me know what you mean by that. A trade, tweet. If you're referring to the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are in on a trade, I don't believe the hype. All right, so one second here. And this is why I want to have this quick little live, because that's a lot of, I know I'm probably one of the most hated people in this Falcon niche, because we tell it like it is. I don't like to mislead y'all. I don't like to make videos that's, it's gonna lead Atlanta Falcons fans and NFL fans the wrong way. There's a lot of accounts out here that just make up a bunch of bullshit ass scenarios and say they heard from their source that guys are getting traded and they're on the phone with this person. Look, half of these motherfuckers, I can guarantee you 95% of these people are lying their asses off, because of the people that I know personally and what the conversations, what I've heard from real NFL players, okay? This is what I've heard from NFL reporters, that certain things don't move past the organization and the front office, okay? If it gets past the front office, a lot of times it's going to a handful of people. It's going to Adam Schefter, it's going to Ian Rappaport, and a few others. Pelissero, those guys. So if you're not hearing it from those three guys, don't be a fool. It is a lie. Okay? Let me say this again. If you don't hear from Pelissero, if you don't report, if you don't hear it from Adam Schefter, it is a bald-faced lie, okay? All it is conversation piece. And like I said, I don't like to lead my people, my folks. I don't like misleading my people, the people that count on us to give them real news and not just be out here saying shit. Now, I do post things in regards to conversation pieces as far as trades. This is what this person said, but we will not, in case I was going to have this show coming up real soon, 3:00. So I just thought I'd just come on and give my take on it. He's going to have his show. So if you guys want to see that, head over to 6MK Live, be a member of his channel, and I believe it's for $1.99. I've already requested, and I am a member of that. So we do support, as well as Coach Unchained, Jew Talk Sports. I'm a member of their channel, so I will encourage you guys to do the same. But I know a lot of people got a lot of questions, and I know I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. If everybody Pitts and Tyler and some picks for Parsons, it's literally the dumbest shit in the universe, okay? Let me say it again. It's probably one of the dumbest things that you ever want to do. Why would the Atlanta Falcons pretty much destroy all their chemistry offensively for a defensive guy? Okay? What are the Atlanta Falcons going to get if they traded for Michael Penix? That would mean that, one, that Darnell Mooney isn't hurt. And as for him, he's fine. Because if you're getting rid of a weapon, that means either Darnell Mooney isn't hurt, which in this case, I think he is hurt. And then you look at the other hand, that Chris Blair, Nick Nash, all these guys, the Washingtons, all these guys are stepping up to be the wide receiver that we will need in order for the Atlanta Falcons to kind of, I say, pick up where they left off last year. A top 5 offense, a very good offense for the most part. And then on top of that, when you say Pitts and Tyler Algier, bro, that's 1,600 plus yards. Okay, 1,600 plus yards with 8+ touchdowns. Okay, I think it's about 8 touchdowns if I'm not mistaken. I think Pitts had 4 touchdowns. I think Tyler Algier had 3 or 4 touchdowns. So that's 8 touchdowns right there. 1,600 yards. About 1,200 yards, excuse me, because I think Pitts had about 600, and I think Tyler had about 600 yards of rushing, if I'm not mistaken. So that's about 1,200 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns that you're giving away for Michael Parsons that you have to find a way to replicate. So the pick in itself, Kyle Pitts and Tyler Algier, it just doesn't make any sense. And swap some picks. Justin made a rapper. What's going on? If he can do for me, I would really appreciate that. Night Whisper, what's going on? Jerome, what's going on, Pimpin'? He says, I'm good on Parsons. I like the team we building. Walker is a close comparison to Parsons, hopefully. Monte Carlo, what's going on? Dallas playing Cats. Jerry would be a fool to let Michael leave. I'm gonna be real, and I said this, and I've been saying this about Jerry. I'm actually on Jerry's side. Like I've been warning y'all this is coming. We've been warning y'all that this is coming. If you're going to give these receivers, the pass rushers, these quarterbacks, $30 million, $40 million, $50 million, $60 million. This is what is going to happen. And I'm on Jerry Jones' side. You sell tickets with the offense side of the ball, whether you like it or not. I'm not giving no defensive edge, no $40 million guaranteed. Are you out of your cotton picking mind? It's not worth it. You paying your quarterback $50+ million. You paying the wide receiver $50+ million. You got an offensive lineman. If you're going to have a good offensive lineman, you're going to be paying these guys anywhere from 16 all the way to $25 million. Some got to give, y'all. Something has to give. It's not worth it. And at the end of the day, I know this is unpopular, but I'm on Jerry Jones' side. I got my quarterback. And if I can have a consistent offense, a consistent run game, a consistent offensive line, I can have a top 20 defense and make it to the Super Bowl. With that offense, a good offensive line, a well enough running game, I can make it deep into the playoffs if I have a consistent quarterback. There's no guarantee that I will be able to make it to the Super Bowl with just a defense, without a consistent offense, without a consistent quarterback, and without a consistent running game. It doesn't matter. I hate to be the one to bust y'all bubble, but I am not paying $35 million for no Micah Parsons. For 20 sacks? For what? Why am I doing that? I got the same thing for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh been getting 20 sacks, 15+ sacks from J. Watt for the last, 5, 6, 7 years? Where they been? Barely in the playoffs. Barely. They're still looking for a quarterback. They've been a top 10 defense, top 15 defense for the last 5-6 years with TJ Watt, and they still haven't made the Super Bowl. Why? Because they're struggling with their quarterback. They're struggling with the running game. They're struggling with the offensive line. And if I'm Jerry Jones, my offense is a top 5 and the top 10 offense. I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with that, yo. I'm just being honest. I'm not paying Micah Parsons. I think he's TJ Watt. He may be, and I could be wrong. But I'm not paying him $35 million. I'm not paying him $30 million, bro. I'm not doing it. I'm not paying Trey Henderson $40 million. I'm not doing it. So I'm actually on Cincinnati side, and I am on Dallas side. And the only way to get this right is to make sure we go back to a negotiating table. If I am the owners, I'm holding out, or I'm sticking to my guns and say, look, you're not worth it. This is what we're going to give you, and if you don't like it, bye. What's up, Thomas? The way players are getting played in the NFL, soon a lot of players be out in the cup complaining. And that right there, where we're headed with the NFL is no security for players. And this is their own fault, agents' fault. Because they want more every time somebody, a big time player comes up for their contract, everybody looking for a historic deal. That is dangerous in its own right. So basically what's going to happen is guys like Micah Parsons, they're going to get a deal where it's 2 years guaranteed or 3 years guaranteed, and everybody else just got to suffer. Everybody else who's not Micah Parsons, who's not superstars, these guys are going to get a whole bunch of 1-year deals. Everybody else going to have to suffer. Why are they going to get 10 million, 2 million, 5 million? Why? Because Micah Parsons, Henderson, all those guys are getting all these mega deals. And they don't just want big time. They just don't want guaranteed. They want historic numbers every time that they get paid. Sean Clapper said the 49ers win it. I mean, you got a dumbass head coach, so I'm not saying it's not possible, because obviously, you know, with the balance with defense and offense, they can, but you got to get, like, at some point, that dude got to get smarter. There has to be a balance when it comes down to these contracts. There's absolutely nobody, and like I said, I'm on the owner side. Arthur Blank said the exact same thing with Lamar Jackson when he was asked, are you going to trade for him? He's like, no, because you can't build the team properly if you're paying the quarterback over 24% of the salary cap. You can't build a team. You can't build a defense and expect to win championships and consistently have a good defense if you're playing the quarterback 24% of the damn 25% of the salary cap. You can't compete. Like I said, I'm a huge Shanahan fan in regards to his play call. I think he's a great play caller, Sean, but I think he's a fucking moron. Like his ego will not allow him to get out of his own way, and we've seen that, you know, here in Atlanta. I think he's probably, you know, next to Sean Payton, Andy Reid. I think he's like the 3rd or 4th best play caller in the NFL offensively. But his ego gets in his way every freaking time. And the thing is also, I think his offense is a major problem because too many guys, he relies so heavily on a number of things and his play calling isn't necessarily a system where he shares the ball with a lot of people. Like he relies heavily on all of his big time playmakers and like especially with his running back Christian McCaffrey. Like every game he want to get Christian McCaffrey 40 carries, even if he's hurt. He's trying to give him 40 touches in a game. And it's like if you're gonna win championships, like you can't run your star players into the ground. That's why guys like Deebo Samuel, Kittle, IU, all those guys have been ran into the ground. Good play caller, runs some good plays, but he runs his players into the ground. Yeah, we'll see. He's always ready, but he always get hurt. And that's been the issue going back to even Carolina with CMC. Like he's always ready to go, but he have like little nagging injuries that keeps him. Jamal Weeks, how you doing? But like I said, I'm probably one of the few people that are actually on. It's just my humble opinion. Since you paid, for one, you've already paid Dakota Prescott, a.k.a. Mr. Dak Prescott, and you're paying him $60 million. For the next couple of years or so, he's going to be the quarterback. Just my humble opinion, they can get out of it if they want to, but it's my humble opinion, when you sign CD Lamb, when you traded for George Pickens, I think you just need to run with that. And then you could have a corner that they're obviously trying to get him out of. You're trying to get him out of that deal because of a lot of injuries and all that type of stuff. They're going back and forth in regards to, whether or not he's going to be ready to go. And I think the issue with him now is like he wants to train outside the facility, and Dallas wants him to train within the facility, and they having a war as far as the finances is concerned. So it's going to be interesting even with that. So like I said, it's just how the Dallas Cowboys is built. I'm actually, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, the best thing to do for yourself is to trade Micah Parsons. You've already built that offense, and that team is built on the offense. And I know Parsons is a terrific pass rusher, defensive rookie of the year, full-time Pro Bowler. But it's my opinion, based on how this team is built, I'm starting over. I'm not paying him $30-40 million. I'm going to do what the Atlanta Falcons did. I'm going to go out and get Jalen Walker, have him, those guys for the next 5 years for a reasonable price. JPJ, James Pierce Jr., I'm going to have those guys for well under $20 million for the next 5 years. And I'm building the defense based on that. I'm not paying 30. He want, like, Parsons wants record money. He's trying to get a deal bigger than what TJ Watt is getting. Henderson is trying to get TJ Watt level money. So let's just be real with that. That's where the NFL is going. My older brother's a Cowboy. He's tired of Dak. I mean, I'm telling you right now, Dak is better than a lot of quarterbacks in the league right now. He got his problems but Dak Prescott is so much better. And the Atlanta Falcons know. Y'all better appreciate Dak Prescott, because you don't want to have to go through a 3-4 year period, Dak Cowboy fans. You don't want to have to go through a 3 to 4 year quarterback issue trying to figure out, all right, who's our guy? Is this guy? Can we bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins? Can we bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins to, keep us afloat until we find our next guy? You don't want to go through that 4-5 year drought because that's what it's going to take. So I'm telling you right now, Dallas Cowboy fans, appreciate who you got. 49er fans too. I'm telling y'all better appreciate Brock because if he's not the guy, it's going to be hell. And we're going to find that out right now this year with Purdy, if he's that guy. So, like I said, I understand that a lot of people are not fans of Dak, but you don't want to have to deal with a Taylor Heineke, a Desmond Ridder, an old beat-up Kirk Cousins. You don't want to have to deal with that. Marcus Mariota. You don't want to have to deal with that. You don't want to have to deal with whether or not a Trey Lance is the real deal. You don't want to have to deal with that. So appreciate what y'all got, Dallas. TJ Watt and Myles Garrett are probably the only ones deserving of the money. And like I said, TJ Watt deserves it. I think, for the most part, he's a pass rush guru. He's a pass rush specialist. But Myles Garrett is exactly that also. But guess what? None of that matters because you still don't have a good quarterback. You still barely have a good offensive line. You still barely have a good wide receiver offense for both teams. It's still struggling. You're still struggling even though you have all those great players. It's leading you to nowhere. So this is why it's my opinion, when you have a Dak Prescott who's a quality, he's not elite, but he's a great quarterback in his own right. He gonna put up numbers. He gonna lose a few games, and Dallas is gonna do things to, blow it like they always do. But when you have a Dak Prescott, trust me, you don't want to have to deal with that shit anymore. So that's why it's me. If I'm Jerry Jones, I got a quarterback that I know that is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, because that's what Dak is. And I know that CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Dak can put up 25 points or at the very least 21 points every game. And I don't know if that Dallas Cowboy team is going to be any better with a Micah Parsons, because they still got linebacker issues. They still got defensive back issues. How much better is Micah Parsons giving him $30-40 million is going to make that Dallas Cowboy defense? Every team will have that day, but sorry, Jets. Yeah. And like I said, that's the thing that we have a lot. We get so caught up in paying, with these superstar players, we forget the fact that these players that we see and other players, a lot of these players that we see on our own teams, like, you got to figure out what's best. Because if you look at the Atlanta Falcons, for example, we got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. The offensive line was led by Lindstrom. You got an aging Jake Matthews, and then you got a guy in Caleb McGarry, who's closing in. If I'm not mistaken, he's already third or close to it. He's close to it. So my thing is, you got two potential tackles that at some point in time in the next 2 to 3 years that you could possibly be replacing. Like, somebody is gone. So what you got to do as a general manager, start building toward the defense, because it's not a guarantee that we're going to be able to develop offensive players to replace them. because there's also another a potential that somebody may come in and try to offer Dwayne Leffert a head coaching job. Him being one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL and in college football. That could happen. So you got a lot of potential problems for the Atlanta Falcons. So the smartest thing for the Atlanta Falcons to do is start adding little pieces to that defense just in case we can't develop anything offensively. And I think that's the thing with Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. If you give Micah Parsons all that money, who's next? Who on that defense? Who is that on that Dallas defense can help take that team to another level? Get to a Super Bowl. It's just the Micah Parsons show, to be honest. It's just the Micah Parsons show on Dallas. And if Dallas was smart, what I would do, I would trade Micah Parsons in a heartbeat. Pick up a couple of picks, maybe 4 to 5 picks, and start building that defense and let Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and potentially George Pickens keep the team afloat until you're able to develop defensively. This is what the Atlanta Falcons are doing right now. And I think at some point in time, and this could quite possibly be the concern with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They still don't have a backup quarterback. Because if Aaron Rodgers is washed up, they're going to have to rebuild. They're going to have to bring in a new quarterback. So now you done paid TJ Watt $100 million for the next 3 to 4 years, and your offense may suck. Yeah, some of the Cowboy fans don't remember Quincy Carter, Chad Hutchinson, Drew Bledsoe. Like, bro, I appreciate that. I'm telling y'all. Y'all do not want to deal with that. And like I said, Sean, like the Jets are a perfect example of just every year they try to get a quarterback and every year it fails. They have some of the top 10, top 5 defenses every year, yet they still cannot get a quarterback. It is hell without a quarterback. I am trading away all my defensive guys, especially in this day and age where the passing game and the quarterback are essential to success. People pay money to go see quarterbacks. They don't pay money to go see a defensive guy running out the quarterback. Let's be real. They pay to see Lamar. They pay to see Pat. They pay to see Michael Penix. They pay to see all of the quarterbacks in the NFL. They pay to see these guys. People want to see the quarterback. They want to see him running. They want to see the Saquon Barkley's in the running game with the line with the Jalen Hurts. They want to see that. Georgia Tech boy was. I mean, Diggs is like he been hurt the last couple of years. Bro, they don't got nothing outside of Micah Parsons on that defense. That's why I'm getting rid of them. Start over. You got a few players. I'm not saying they got trash guys, but like it's the Micah Parsons show. They don't have a great secondary. Dallas doesn't have a great secondary. It's not like where the Atlanta Falcons, where they have AJ Terrell and Bates. They don't have that. Diggs is like I said, he's had knee injury. I think he tore his ACL a couple years ago, and he's been trying to come back from that, and he had a lot of issues with his knee. So it's like I said, with Dallas, it's the Micah Parsons show. Dallas did good finding Micah Parsons, but you missed your window, and now it's money time. That's it. That's why I said if I'm Dallas, the smartest thing to do is exactly what Jerry Jones is doing. Not paying Micah Parsons, get rid of him, trade him for a bunch of picks, and start over. See if they've done a wonderful job. Dallas has done a wonderful job replacing a lot of their edge guys. They know talent. And if I'm Jerry Jones and he has some of the best scouts a part of his organization, I know I can find another Micah Parsons. I'm being real, yo. Because what Jerry's going to do, Jerry's going to pay some of the best scouts to find talent. That's what he going to do. Jerry Jones and that Dallas Cowboy team, they're going to find talent. And they're going to get the talent. They have always been there since Jimmy Johnson days. They've always understood talent, finding talent, and developing talent. So if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm betting on myself. I'm betting on my organization. Diggs and Bland getting toasted. Like, bro, it's the Micah Parsons. And I'm hearing, the Dallas Cowboy players are getting behind Micah Parsons. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they get behind Micah Parsons? Because if Micah Parsons don't get what they want, if he doesn't get market value, how can any other player that's not Micah Parsons get value? They're not going to be able to get market value of Micah Parsons. So, of course, the players are going to get behind him. Players are going to get behind him. Players love to see top players get market value. Because if they get market value, they're going to get it. If top players get market value, they're going to get market value. Period. So I'm not, the Dallas Cowboy fans love Micah. Of course they do. They want him to get paid. Because if Micah Parsons get paid $40-50 million guaranteed, it's a 4-year deal for $150 million. And 110 of that is guaranteed for 2 years. Guess what? Everybody else is going to get the same guaranteed. They're going to get the same market value. You know what's funny? Mike, people don't get on Jerry Jones about not paying players, but when he does, besides Lamb, they either fall off a cliff or stay injured right after Jerry pays them. And that's what I'm saying. It's understanding that. And that's why I said I'm actually on Jerry Jones. Now, he can be a jackass. He's definitely that. But when it comes down to when he decides to either pay guys or these guys go elsewhere, they go elsewhere. They get their money. But a lot of them don't stay. You know, I think DeMarcus Ware was like one of the few guys, like he just allowed to walk. And he went to Denver, I believe it was. And, you know, they did what they did. But like I said, it's very few guys that walked away that didn't pay. That he didn't pay, and it backfired on Jerry. So it's like, for me, I'm not reliving another Julio Jones scenario. Yeah, he put up a bunch of numbers, but, you know, you get near 30, or you get that second and third contract, and then you never get that same production from him again. Like, that shit scares me, to be honest. So that's why, for me, I want to have a deep rotation in my front seven. I want to have a deep rotation in my front seven, so I won't be bribed by a Micah Parsons to give him everything that he wants, because he's the only person we got. That's why Julio Jones got paid what he got paid. That's why a lot of top players get paid because the organization feel like they don't have a choice. But teams that develop well They're never backed into a corner because they know they can develop other players. In my opinion, the Atlanta Falcons did not believe in Calvin Ridley. That's why we gave Julio Jones that $60 million when he was 32 years old. And then after he left, he went straight downhill. He was never the same. Donovan Azuruku. Yeah, they like I said, they already have a process and developing talent. Dallas is always that, but you just got to be smart with your money. And at some point in time, I think, Dallas will do that, but there's no guarantee that they get rid of Parsons, that they even gonna get to a Super Bowl. I think if they keep Parsons this year, they got a shot, but everything got to go right for them. Dak Prescott has had some issues with injuries the last couple of years on top of it. So is it really smart at this point in time to give him $40 million guaranteed every year? I don't know. It won't shock me if Washington trades for Parsons because, that could say, but like that very seldom happens within the division where you trade for guys in the division. Like, in my opinion, they would have to give up close to 3 first-round picks in order to get Parsons to go to Dallas. So I don't think that will happen, but, it's possible. But like I said before, man, it's like I know a lot of people probably saying to themselves, like, let's go get Micah Parsons. But look, man, it's going to cost the Atlanta Falcons. If they went out, they traded Pitts, they traded Tyler, they got rid of the 27th first-round pick because that's gone if you traded for Parsons. So that means 2 years straight, we will not have a first-round pick until 2028. On top of that, we're going to lose several mid-round picks. And in my opinion, it would have to be a second-round pick. So we won't have picks in the first round, the second round for the next 2 to 3 years if we traded for Micah Parsons. I know a lot of people just like, yeah, let's go all out so we can win the Super Bowl. Yeah, but what happens if Parsons get hurt? Where do we go? Where do we go now? These are the things you have to take into consideration when you're talking about trading for Parsons. If he ends up getting hurt, guess what? We screwed for the next 2 to 3 years. We don't have a first round pick. We have to develop, and we got to rely on Bijan, and we got to rely on Drake and Michael Penix to develop. We put that much more pressure on a old brick, Raheem, and Zach Robinson to develop players. Because if it doesn't work out, he ends up getting hurt, and he doesn't find that same success in Atlanta. We've seen it before. Guys start out great at other organizations. They sign a big contract thinking you're going to get the same production out of them, and they fall off a cliff. We've seen this plenty of times with defensive linemen. But I will say this. I will say this, y'all, and I'm being so honest. Don't listen to these reporters. These reporters don't get paid to think. Reporters get paid for clicks and to get you guys to support their brand. If the Atlanta Falcons did that, went all in for Micah Parsons, what happens if it fails? Because it failed with Kirk Cousins. It failed. Yeah, we got our quarterback and we went all in, but nobody thinks about if we go all in and it don't work. Now you got $100 million. You got $30 million, $100 million with Kirk Cousins, and if Micah Parsons don't pan out, not only did you lose first round picks with Micah Parsons, but that's $30 million, almost $40 million every year that you got to pay for somebody that's giving you mediocre numbers. Eli, what position do you think we need more depth at? Tight end. Falcon need to get tight ends. Falcon need to develop their wide receivers. This wide receiver core is not as good as people let it on to be. Just my opinion. I got to see it first. I think they're relying heavily on Penix's ability, but I don't see a lot of talent in this with these tight ends behind Pitts, and I don't see a lot of talent behind Drake London and Mooney. I think there's a massive drop off with our tight ends and our wide receivers. I think there's a massive drop off with those. I heard that Tegan Terrion has a major lead on Titan 3, but like I said, that's a what if. We haven't seen him. Now, I want to see him during the course of a game, and see what the chemistry that he has. But like Quinterano, whatever the hell you say his name, he's having more time with Kirk Cousins than he is with Mike. Having a Kirk Cousins does help you along a lot faster because he's a veteran quarterback, and that's a good thing to have. That's a good problem to have with Kirk Cousins, with the younger guys. But it's different when you got a left-hand quarterback and you got a quarterback to spin all that type of stuff. It's different. So I want to see these guys with Penix. He said our wide receiver wasn't really strong at all besides Drake and Mooney. I mean, I agree. Tank ain't always stupid. You know what I'm saying? He ain't always stupid, but I don't think outside of Drake and Mooney, it really isn't a lot of receivers that I trust. Like if you say you trust, I know Zach Robinson saying, that Ray McLeod stepped up and he did, but I don't trust Ray McLeod. Do you think Falcons should trade? Hell no. Terry McLaurin, no. I'm not paying no wide receiver. No. I'm not paying any wide receiver when I got a quarterback. We got two quarterbacks right now. That'll be the dumbest thing the Atlanta Falcons will ever do is trade for a wide receiver. Stupid. Terry McLaurin is not looking for no chump change, y'all. The best thing for the Falcons could do for themselves is develop wide receivers. Develop chemistry with Mike Penix and the receivers around him. Because again, what happens if it doesn't go well? Now we got a lot of dead cap and a lot of cap issues, and we got another peerless price situation where we brought in a guy that put up great numbers elsewhere, but when he came here, it wasn't the same. I don't want to have to deal with that problem. I would much rather have the Atlanta Falcons play the guys that they have, the Zach Robinsons, the Trice, Zach Harrison, Dorless. Like, let's see what those guys can do first before we start, paying guys $30-40 million. Because if those guys end up playing well, and you got those guys making less than $15 to $10 million every year to give us 12 sacks that Harrison is Parsons is gonna give us. I got 4 or 5 guys that can get me 12 to 15 sacks, and I don't have to pay them $30 million to do it. And DJ Shark is another one. Shark is one of those guys too. Like, he's had, some injuries, but he's had some success where he caught, he was a 1,000-yard receiver. So he's a veteran guy you can kind of throw in there. But yeah, I'm not paying no Terry. I'm not paying him. I don't care if he have a cool first name. I'm not doing it. But 6 Man is about to come on shortly, y'all. I will end this live, but head over to 6MK Live. He's about to go live and talk about his point of view on this. So I'll join y'all over there. But this has been another episode of the Mad Mike Show. Y'all hit that subscribe button. NFL content all around the board. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate it. I'm out. Head over to 6MK Live for part 2 of this. I'm out.